The house was silent, except for the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. Anna lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of exhaustion pull at her limbs. Moving into her late grandmother's house had been a necessary decision, cheap, isolated, and hers. But she wasn't sleeping well. It wasn't the unfamiliarity of the old house. It wasn't the occasional draft that made the curtains shift when the windows were shut. It was the feeling that someone was watching her. It started subtly, small things at first. Shadows that seemed a little too solid in the corners of the room. A faint creaking, like footsteps when she was alone. The smell of lavender, her grandmother's perfume, lingering when she hadn't sprayed anything. But it was only when she woke up in the middle of the night, heart pounding, that she saw them. Figures. At the edge of her bed. At first, she thought it was just sleep paralysis. The first night it happened, she had jolted awake at 3:14 a.m., her body frozen, her breath caught in her throat. A dark silhouette loomed at the foot of her bed. Tall, unmoving, watching. She tried to move, to scream, but her body refused to obey. The figure stood there for what felt like an eternity before slowly fading into the darkness, as if it had never been there at all. The moment she could move again, she turned on the lamp, heart hammering. The room was empty. Nothing had changed, but she felt it. Something was wrong. The second time, it wasn't just one figure. It was two. She woke with a jolt, a shudder running through her body before she even opened her eyes. She knew they were there. Her breath was shallow, controlled, as she slowly let her gaze drift toward the foot of the bed. They were closer. Two figures. Tall, shrouded in darkness, their faces impossible to see. They didn't move. They didn't breathe. They just stood there, watching. Anna wanted to believe she was dreaming, but she wasn't. She could feel them. The room was ice cold, and she could feel the weight of their stares pressing into her chest. And then one of them moved. Not a step, not a shift, just a slow, unnatural tilt of its head. Anna choked on a scream. Her limbs refused to work. Her voice caught in her throat. She could feel something wrong in the air, like the weight of something unseen pressing down on her. The figures lingered for what felt like hours before they simply faded. Just like before, she left the lamp on the next night. And the next. She didn't sleep much. She didn't know how to explain what was happening. Until she found the journal. It was tucked away in the nightstand drawer, bound in leather, its pages yellowed with age. Her grandmother's handwriting filled the pages, neat and deliberate. At first, the entries were normal lists, memories, thoughts. Then, as she flipped further through, she found the warnings. Don't look at them too long. They grow closer when you acknowledge them. They watch. They wait. And when they reach you, the rest of the sentence was violently scribbled out. Anna's hand shook. She flipped through the pages, finding more frantic notes. They came again last night, standing at the foot of the bed, closer this time. The door won't open when they come. They don't want me to leave. They whisper when I sleep, but I don't want to listen. Anna snapped the journal shut. Her stomach twisted, her pulse thudding in her ears. She should leave. She should leave right now. But when she turned toward the door, her breath caught in her throat. Because in the dim reflection of the bedroom mirror, she wasn't alone. They were there, not at the foot of the bed this time, not waiting, closer, standing right behind her. Anna doesn't remember screaming. She doesn't remember running. Only the sheer, gut-wrenching terror as she lunged for the bedroom door and found it locked. Her hands shook as she fumbled with the knob, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The figures didn't move, didn't lunge, didn't reach for her, but they were closer now, so close she could feel the cold radiating off them. She twisted the handle desperately, and then a whisper, right in her ear, "Stay." The light flickered, and everything went black. Anna woke up in bed. The morning light streamed through the curtains, golden and soft, as if the night before had been nothing but a nightmare. But when she turned her head, her breath caught, because on the pillow beside her, where no one should have been, was a handprint, pressed deep into the fabric, too large to be hers, too fresh to be from before. And just beyond the bed, at the very edge of the room, standing perfectly still, a shadow, waiting